Welcome back. This is lesson 3 of Making Sense of Us. In this lesson, we're exploring our second cultural narrative. Sam Chan will help us make sense of the story of happiness.
Here I am in Times Square, New York City, USA. This place just screams pleasure. It's lights, it's noise, it's people, it's a stimulation overload. We come here to be entertained. And why not? Because this is the USA. This is a nation founded literally, and I quote, on the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's in the founding DNA. It's in the lifeblood of Western culture that we have the right to pursue pleasure on our own terms. And that's why if I ask you this question, I want my children to be blank, what? You immediately say happy. What else could it be? This is a storyline we've been given, and it's a great storyline. But if it's such a good storyline, why are we so tired, exhausted, and anxious? Well, there are many reasons for this. One reason is what they call hedonic adaptation. Well, what's hedonic adaptation? Well, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you have your first cup of coffee and you get that buzz. But later in the morning, you have your second cup of coffee, and this time, less buzz. And then in the afternoon, you have your third cup of coffee, and this time, no buzz. Well, what's happened? Well, we adapted to the coffee. We got numb to the coffee. It's the same with happiness. Sooner or later, we get numb to whatever makes us happy. I mean, look around. This place would have begun with one bright, shiny light bulb, but then we needed 2 bright, shiny light bulbs, and soon we needed 100, and then we needed thousands and thousands of bright, shiny light bulbs, and soon we don't even notice them. We've adapted, we've become numb to it all, and we just walk past the lights as if they're not even there. You know, happiness studies show that whatever makes us happy, yes, it gives us, boom, an initial burst of happiness. It could be a new job, a new car, a new romantic partner, but that burst of happiness lasts 1, maybe 2 years, and then we're back to where we started. We just get numb to it all. I mean, you see it in all the tourists. They all come flocking here, and when they first get here, oh, their eyes light up. They're so happy. They jump, they clap, they laugh, they take selfies, and they say, look at me. They upload on social media. Look how happy I am. And then after a while, they stop and they think, is this all this is? And they become numb to it all, and then they just walk away. I mean, look around. Does anyone actually look happy? And then another reason is what we call hedonic fallacy. And this is where just by chasing happiness, you're guaranteed not to find it. That's because happiness is actually the byproduct of something else. It's like chasing the rainbow. You're not going to find it because the rainbow is the byproduct of something else, the sun. And maybe we should be chasing the sun instead. I heard in an NPR, National Public Radio interview, where a young lady said this: we got told by our parents to do whatever it takes to be happy. Be happy. I mean, if our parents had told us to get a job or make money, at least we would have known if we had achieved these things. But instead, they told us to be happy. And so now we're all chasing happiness and thinking, am I happy yet? Am I happy yet? Am I happy yet? Have I achieved it yet? It's the chase. It's the chase. It's the chase that trips you up. So what are we doing wrong? What should we be chasing? Luke 9:23-25. Jesus said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. but whoever loses their life for me will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit their very self? Jesus says, chase me. Jesus doesn't promise us happiness. He promises us the opposite. This is sacrifice, hardship, suffering. But why would I want to do that? Because studies show that suffering, if it's purposeful, will make us a better person. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, gives us a parable about two fictitious women. One woman, through the fortunes of life, is born beautiful and rich. But at the end of her life, she'll say, what was all that about? I had a lot of money, I went to a lot of parties, and I flirted with a lot of men, but what was all that about? Her life will be empty, self-absorbed, and unfulfilling. But another woman, through the misfortunes of life, she'll give birth to a child with profound disabilities. And she has to care for this child all her life. But at the end of her life, she'll say, wow, what a life. I raised a child with profound disabilities, and her life will be rich and fulfilling because she lived a story bigger than her own story. If we have no bigger story, then we only have our own story to live, and our lives soon become bent, curved in on itself, twisted, broken, distorted. This is what the Bible calls sin, to fall short of what God calls us to be, to turn our backs on God's bigger story for us. That's why Jesus says, follow me. He'll be the biggest story to live for, not just as the model of how to live, but also to open the door for God's bigger story for us by paying the penalty for our sin. We need a bigger story. Every time I'm in Times Square, I'm amazed by the lights that I see. But I'm also amazed by the lights I no longer see. There used to be names, faces, brands here that screamed happiness, but they're no longer here. They have flamed out. And you and I will flame out if we only chase happiness. Imagine coming to New York City and all you did was see Times Square. That would be a little bit sad because there's so much more to New York City than just Times Square. You could see the Statue of Liberty with its story of freedom. There are museums with its story of art, culture, and creativity. But imagine if you had a reason, a purpose, a calling to be in Times Square. Maybe it's to see a friend, to bring justice, to make a difference. And now you have a bigger story. Jesus says, follow him. Surrender to his bigger story for us. Live for Jesus. Sharing God's glory. Belong to Team Jesus. Bring his love, mercy, and justice on this planet. And yes, there'll be suffering. Yes, there'll be hardships. Yes, there'll be sacrifice. We will lose our life, but we will gain so much more. And that's the irony. By chasing rainbows, we won't find them. But if we chase the sun instead, we will find rainbows. It's the same with us. If we chase happiness, we won't find it. But if we chase Jesus, he will fulfill us. And we just might find happiness along the way.
Now that we've heard today's teaching, open your Making Sense of Us books to the page number on the screen and answer the review questions with your study group.